Uh, First of all, I would like to ask our principal sir to welcome Mr. Pal. Sir, over to you. Sir?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ranjita ji.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So, I'm very pleased to welcome our learned speaker, Dr. Devakriti Pal, the Assistant Professor English, Narayan Mahavidyalaya, Guria Kothi. Already he has got so many awards. Teacher of the Year by Arunachal University of Studies. I welcome Professor Anuradha, Dr. Manju, Dr. Anupma, and Dr. Ranjita, who is coordinator in the today's session for enhancement of soft skill for placement. And the topic of the today's session is sentence formation, a way towards placement. I'm very satisfied with the participation, overwhelming participation of our students and our faculty members, not only from institute itself, but from all over Bihar. Few faculty members and principals are very keen to listen our session, as our students and faculty members have organized so many sessions of webinar just to enhance the employability of our students. So in this series of webinar for employment and employability enhancement, this one is the second one. First one we completed on time management, and this one is based on communication skill, that is sentence formation. As you know, this is 2 hour long, maximum 2 hour long webinar only, and our students have already completed the course. They are waiting for the examination. The schedule of examination is yet to be published. In between, our faculty member has suggested to organize a series of webinar for their employability enhancement. We welcome their suggestion and we have started. As we know, this premium polytechnic is having the responsibility of paving the new way for the benefit of our students. So I am very thankful to our speaker, our learned speaker, and our coordinator, organizer, our team members, the technical team members, who has cooperated a lot in organizing the webinars. Our students are very enthusiastic, and as long as their keen and interest will be there, we will organize 1 or 2 webinars each week for their benefit. All the students will get the question answer session also. So I would request our technical team member to give them chance in last for their question answer. They should open their chat box. The students can write their question in the chat box, and our learned speaker and coordinator will try to answer them. One thing I would like to mention for our students, that their seminar attending or webinar attending etiquette should be so decent that whenever the recording of this webinar, if we show to the higher authority or your prospective employer, they should feel happy seeing their future implied. Now coming to the business of the session, our expert speaker will suggest you the all grammatical part. Regarding placement, I would like to mention that it is a very regular term and it actually subject to which university, college you are and what company you are appearing for and what they are looking for in their prospective. As the private sector companies are gaining ground and becoming more competitive due to the changed world economy, the employees are always kept on their toes. It is like either you work hard and show your performance or praise for not taking care of your professional growth. The ability to use the language efficiently is very much required to remain employable. So I'm again emphasizing that language efficiency is very much required to remain employable. What is employability? It is the ability to remain employable as a result of the relevant skill one possesses. You may be mechanical engineer, civil engineer, electrical engineer. To remain employable, you should have a very good communication skill. It is very essential for one's professional growth. Generally, the organization took at your communication prowess. They don't really pay heed to how good your pronunciation or accentuation is. All they want of you is to be able to articulate your thought well. Otherwise, they may even look for a candidate who has a strong verbal ability and they will leave you. It all comes down to what you have studied and what workforce are you looking at. That is to say, what will be your core competency in engineering, in domain skill, used over there and under what profile. You will have a better understanding of all that. As English is a language which can work wonders for you if that is for of your stronger point, as it makes you stand out from most of the candidate and definitely uplifts your candidate. आपको पसंद हो या ना पसंद हो, but today is the world and our country in particular is witnessing a third industrial revolution, namely communication revolution. In industry 4.0, this is in turn is having a major impact on our business and workplace. In the international commercial sphere, English has become lingua franca of the business world, irrespective of geographical, social, political, or religious, or ethical differences. It is being recognized as one of the 6 official languages of the United Nations. Earlier, people used to get a job if they possess expertise in their respective field. But in the current era, the specific skill should be complemented with the communication skill. The need for giving emphasis on the English communication development is of utmost important in the present scenario, with the objective to make the job aspirants gainfully employed. The study aims to, the session aims to highlight the importance of English in multiple sectors, which finally cater to needs of employability. In the last few years, thanks to job becoming global, the importance of English has increased manifold. It has over the years become an important medium of communication, both at the international and international level. The importance of spoken English is even more because there are many cases where one knows his subject well but fails to communicate it properly. The practice of spoken English, therefore, is quite essential. Learning English in a country where it is not a native language opens a number of opportunities for the individuals of diploma holder engineers. In today's corporate world, the need for effective communication has been recognized and accepted more than the technical knowledge. The language of corporate world is English. An individual can make strides in the management ladder if he or she can speak English fluently. If your English is poor, even though with brilliant business idea, you may still find yourself linguistic at the bottom of the management ladder. Your productivity will drop over a period of time since you will find difficulty in expressing your brilliant idea. Those who can speak good English will probably absorb your idea and get the credit for all the hard work you did to get the idea working. So there is an immense opportunity for English language. English for different purpose like group discussions, interviews, oral presentation, report writing, writing letters, etc. English language generally handles individuals' ability to frame grammatically correct sentences or his lack of vocabulary, fear of speaking to group of the people, and the ineffective presentation skill. Here our learned speaker will help you to making the sentences. We know on your subjects, you have a very good vocabulary commands in any technical subjects. Time and again, several times in all the speeches, I have mentioned that hardly 50 or 100 vocabularies are there in any subjects on which you can take very easily command over them. Now you have the vocabulary with you, you are enriched with the vocabulary, and now the things come how to make the sentences, how to frame the sentences. If you can frame the sentences well, you can express the idea well, and you can get the employment, campus employment, or even outside campus also, your employability will get enhanced. So our learned speaker today will help you to enhance communication skill in English. Now the enhanced communication skill in English can result to not only an improved social life, but also better job opportunity in the future. From job interviews to the actual professional world, communication skills are very crucial. And being proficient in English means being able to communicate clearly and effectively. In job interview, most interviewers conduct interview in English. Interviewers quickly make judgment and give great importance to first impressions. Poor skill in the language can mean a smaller chance of landing a job. On the other hand, being proficient in the language can help one leave a good first impression, which means higher chances of getting the position one is applying for. English is the most commonly used language in the business world. Most job interviews and the group discussions. Of course, हिंदी में भी बिहार में या जो एम्प्लॉयर बिहार में आते हैं, आपके कम्युनिकेशन स्किल को जांच करने के लिए अगर इंग्लिश में आप फंसते हैं तो वो हिंदी में स्विच ओवर करते हैं. बट जो इंग्लिश के सेंटेंस फॉर्मेशन आज आप सीखेंगे वही हिंदी के सेंटेंस फॉर्मेशन में भी काम आएंगे, ताकि आप अपने संवाद का संप्रेषण, कम्युनिकेशन, आप अपने आइडिया का कम्युनिकेशन अपने एम्प्लॉयर और जो एम्प्लॉयर के इंटरव्यूअर हैं या जो ग्रुप डिस्कशन में आपके फ्रेंड्स हैं उनको आप अपना आइडिया शेयर कर सकते. In fact, a sentence formation allows a person to say what he or she wants to say without having to argue about the meaning. However, using incorrect tenses, prepositions, and the like will make one's statement less accurate. So in order to have an increased competency in the professional world, one should have a very good grasp of sentence formation. With this point view, the department has already launched a Cambridge English training for our teachers. Our teachers have undergone also. I think Dr. Ranjita might have joined this Cambridge training. just for increasing the proficiency of our students in English, and that of in top class English they should have, because we know our students are very meritorious. They have cleared a very tough competition of BCEC and they have got enrollment. They are exposed to the high grade teachers, the teaching environment in the premium institutions, and what the lack is only the communication skill, and what he lack is only the English. So if our students will improve the English, their employability will definitely get enhanced. So I'm very thankful to our coordinator and our team members once again to arrange such a beautiful session for them, such a useful session for them to increase the enhancement. And I'll request our the learned speaker, Dr. Devkriti Pal, to give a value addition on our students so that they can increase, they can enhance their employability. Thank you once again.
Yes, sir.
And I welcome once again Dr. Devkriti Pal.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your valuable speech. This was very informative for us as well. So before we get started with the session, I want you to brief you all that if you have any query or any question, you can note it down. And at the end, we shall have question answer session, and you can ask your queries to our learned speaker, Mr. Devkriti Pal. So let's start the session. Devkriti Pal, I'm handing over the platform to you. Welcome, Devkriti. Yes, we can start.
Thank you. Am I audible properly?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Greetings. In the very beginning, I express my immense joy and gratitude to the organizing authority of this webinar, Dr. Chandrasekhar Singh, the esteemed principal of New Government Polytechnic Patna, Dr. Ranjita Tiwari, the coordinator, respected members of this organizing committee, learned faculty members, and definitely dear students. Now the topic sentence formation, a way towards placement, it has two different dimensions. One dimension is purely theoretical, that whatever we learn, we fit it to our neural network. And the second is its application. When we communicate, that can be written, that can be oral, even that can be gestural. So here the sentence formation, if a student is at the very beginning of his studies or her studies for that matter, say first year, the whole topic can be, or the data over here that I'm going to deliver here, that will influence that person to pick up what exactly to find in a grammar, because grammar is a very vague term if I take it as it is. From the very sound to the paragraph, from the very atomic to huge structure, the grammar has various components. From sound to meaning, it has various components. Now, what exactly works for a student? At the very beginning, the student needs to learn the syntactical rule, that is how we combine words. And at the same time, when a student moves upward in the class, it becomes necessary to communicate in a various way, to write a report, to write, say, assignment, even to understand textbooks. Very interesting thing, as the learned principal sir was stating, if there is a problem with understanding English, I could make it. The very basic problem here I find how to get the word. What will be the source of word? Because whenever we need to write something or think in any language, we need to have the word. So a basic, a fundamental factor is that we may have set of words in our vernacular and we transfer them, we have translation system, or the opposite, we do not consider our vernacular, we just pick up the target language. In this session, English is the target language I'm considering, and When we talk about sentence formation, I need to discuss what sentence means here and what formation means here. See, a sentence can be defined as a set of words which is complete in itself, containing subject and predicate, and conveying a statement, question, or command. Now, I have chosen this particular definition from Oxford University because it talks about two things. Number one, meaning is complete. So that means if we consider something as sentence, then we must complete it structurally also. Unfinished structure does not give meaning. Now, what is a sentence? What is the meaning? What is the importance of sentence in any communication? It can be considered as chief foundation of language. The words are like bricks, and combining them, we have the foundation. Now, sentence has a great significance, a paramount significance. How? A correct, well-ordered sentence acts as key to fruitful communication. As far as the communication comes, if one faces an interview, if one even prepares a project, a student becomes quite confused how he or she should begin. What type of words should be used and what is the source? So apart from the theoretical aspect of how our choice of words should be and how we can place them in a sentence, with what thematic framework we should put words in a sentence, I will also give them some hint about certain parts of speech which has multiple use. Because English grammar, if we put it for technical usage, we need to see what parts of speech has maximum convertibility from one part of speech to another. Whereas when we use a word in literature, or say purely in language studies, we need to show how only one particular word can be used in multiple ways. And here it is the very different thing, how one part of speech can be converted. So I will come that later. So as a sentence has been defined, let me also talk what I mean by formation. I have defined sentence as set of words. So now formation, the set is to be created. The formation involves putting a set of words in a correct order. Formation involves putting a set of words in a correct order so that subject and predicate can convey the intended meaning. Here also the communication may be oral or written. One essential difference I am making here in the matter of sentence is that I am always combining subject and predicate. Whereas it has also been found that a sentence has different parts. We know them as phrase, we know them as clause. So what is the rule, or what are the rules by which we need to use the word? So here I intend to focus on two basic rules, which are like this. Rule of proximity, that is the nearness, proximity of words, or for a better understanding, proximity of parts of speech, and then the rule of priority. Why these two rules I have chosen? If a student has almost finished the course, he or she may need to rethink how he or she is going to create the resume, how to face the interview. And there comes a very peculiar choice, but very critical choice also, what words are to take and what should be rejected. Is there any essential difference between spoken English and so-called written English? The very difference lies on the rule of priority. What kind of word we take up. And when we have the priority, here priority simply means we need to curtail unnecessary phrases. We need to curtail unnecessary, diluted, convoluted clauses. We should not do that. So this is a kind of suggestion for making resume or statement of purpose, what to look for and what not to look for. And then I also intend to focus on periodic structure, use structure, importance of verb in a sentence. Now see, the rule of proximity is the first one to govern the sentence structure. According to this rule, the qualifying word or phrase should always be placed as close as possible to the word which is meant to qualify. I repeat it. According to this rule, the qualifying word or phrase should always be placed as close as possible to the word which is meant to qualify. Often we may have heard that English language is very much business-like, or the masculinity of English language. How does it retain, or how is it created? Proximity, the closeness of only the essential, only the minimum words in oral communication and then the written communication. This nearness of items essentially related to one another, specifically in case of noun and adjective. One problem Indian students often make and often face, a mistaken problem, I must say, they try to give much importance to adjective, not verb. In the description, if adjective is much, of course, engineering is such a thing which defines, which has a qualitative aspect. In building anything, adjective is very important. But if we pile up adjective or use adjective not so much suitable, then the whole understanding becomes very different. So when somebody prepares a resume particularly, it is very much important that regarding himself or regarding the work one has done, unnecessary adjectives should never be added. That will only create the problem of definition, because each adjective contains a problem of definition, because one must define the quality. So elaborating it further, words are intimately connected in thought. Whenever we write a sentence, there are some words which are intimately connected. That means one noun connected with adjective, one adjective connected with complementary, something like that. You see, words which are intimately connected in thought in a sentence should not be separated from each other in expression. So proximity is giving us an idea that in subject, verb, object, this particular pattern, we always need to create one minimum, that is the verb, one minimum. And then we need to expand it to the maximum, right hand side and left hand side both. And during this time, caution should be maintained regarding putting the main parts of speech first and auxiliaries then. Their separation may result in loss of clarity of expression. So this is a very important area in communication. Then when somebody talks, maybe the gesture, the body language is fine. Suddenly the words are not coming. This is a peculiar situation. And when does it happen? When the student or the candidate for that matter does not know the necessary verb or verbal phrase. It does not happen essentially if the student focuses on adjective. Now, adjective, there are many adjectives, many qualifiers as well as quantifiers in this case, but verbal phrases and verbs are less in number. So rule of proximity makes us rethink about our strategy so that we can give more importance to verb. And therefore, I have already told that importance of verb in a sentence. I will discuss about that. Regarding rule of proximity, let me give example of what exactly I am trying to mean. Here is a word I have chosen. See, I was rather impressed by the manner of the speaker. Or say, I was rather impressed by the manner of the presentation. What exactly is rather doing here? Is the word rather adding to the value, adding to the meaning, or is it expressing the confusion, the undecided condition of the mind? So if we need to get the complete meaning or meaning in itself, focus on cutting such rather or such unnecessary word. Therefore, was an impressed in this particular sentence. I was impressed by the manner of the speaker. This is very much fine. Rather is not there. So students have to keep in mind that when an answer is written, when a resume is written or any paragraph is written, please do not include unnecessary conjunctions, interjections, or any kind of words which do not make meaning complete. When you come to the second rule, the rule of priority, priority is preference. There are a number of words, a number of parts of speech, a number of sets. From there, we need to pick up which work most at a given context. So rule of priority in communication language teaching is definitely connected with notional functional as well as situational. Depending on the situation, we pick up the words. And not only words, depending on the situation, a person is needed to create verbal phrase. My sole focus here is on the verb, because it is the verb which makes sentence meaningful. There may be any number of words, but if there is no proper verb, the sentence is not possible to be completed. No communication is possible to be fruitful. So the rule of priority postulates that the qualifying word or phrase should precede, should come first, should come prior, should precede what it is meant to qualify. I repeat, the rule of priority postulates that the qualifying word or phrase should precede what it is meant to qualify. Now, what is the advantage of this kind of arrangement? It is basically a matter of arrangement of words. Advantage of such arrangement is that it helps to secure greatest economy of attention. Not just word, economy of attention. For example, when a teacher enters into the class, if they say, good morning, sir. Students are not saying, sir, I give you very good morning. Meaning the same. But why the mode of speaking so different? It is a priority. What meaning we're trying to make? In resume, there is a place, sometimes statement of purpose is there, sometimes there is goal. When a student writes about the goal or prospect, how one is going to contribute, it so happens that some vague words that I want to do great for the company, my being there will add meaning to the company, something like that. In this way, initially the students write the resume, or even in the interview, they also say in this line, no. When you say that I am going to add meaning to the company, bring positivity to the company, meaning and positivity, such words are in themselves very, very huge. Sometimes they mean everything and sometimes they may mean nothing for the person. So here what is necessary, that before going to any interview or before writing any resume, much practice should be done. The technical words associated with the job, even the works done by a company, the profile of that company, technical words related to that profile must be searched, must be thoroughly understood before putting them on resume, how one may contribute. In the interview, the same thing is here. Why mock interviews or why mock drills are conducted? One of the essential focus here is to create the priority in this thing. That yes, student may be able to understand what exactly to say. That exactness comes with not properly placing the words, but what exact meaning the student wants, whether it is through adjective, through noun, through verb, to put that first. So let me elaborate it a bit further. Advantage of such arrangement is that it helps to secure the greatest economy of attention. Now, attention on whose part? Attention on the part of the listener, attention on the part of the recipient, not on the part of the person who is writing. That is to say, reshaping of sentence. What exactly rule of priority brings? Reshaping. Reshaping of sentence in order to get the meaning will be minimal, will be very less if the rule is followed. Now, this particular thing is very much related to the teachers also. Why? Because when a student faces difficulty in writing resume, often they take help from their teacher. Now, teacher also need to select what works, what words, and what type of phrases are going to work. If a student is not so good in speaking English, it is always advised that please do not give him noun phrases more. Train him in the verbal phrase. Such student who does not have a normal flow of English, or at least a better flow of English, need to focus or need to work on only the simple structure, subject verb, not even object, subject verb structure. Need to talk in active voice. Need not to use passive voice more and more. A suitable example for this rule of priority I give. Let us consider one sentence. Do you take the medicine that the doctor prescribed for you regularly? Do you take the medicine that the doctor prescribed for you regularly? Now, if we hand this sentence over to a watchful reader, the reader can understand that the essential emphasis is on that regularity, the duration. It is not just on the medicine, neither on the doctor, because medicine definitely is prescribed by the doctor. It is on the regularity. So why is regularity placed at the very ending of that sentence? Here some reshaping is there. Otherwise, what will happen? To get the meaning of the sentence, reader need to read it at least once. At least once, it will be a wastage of attention. So the same sentence can be more precise if it is written in this way. Do you take regularly the medicine prescribed by the doctor? So from the very ending to the initial part, we're transferring that particular word to regularly. So this kind of giving priority to parts of speech, be it adverb, or if not adverb, if this creates problem, the complementary, to set it differently, to place it differently, brings necessary change in the meaning, or rather necessary shift on focus. Where is it? Where does it work well? In the interview, in the middle of the interview, often a student may feel either nervous or may feel either confident, and depending on how it has been. There is always a tricky moment I have noticed in one of such cases, that suddenly if a brainstorming question is given, or say in some kind of group discussion, a number of students are sitting and one train of thought is moving. It so happens that students notice which point say candidate A has said, which point candidate B has said, and by the time student if is candidate C or D, the thought is gone. Student need to take a speedy note. If student is attentive and knows how to prioritize the strain of thought which has come up, at that point of time, only the essential words that are coming up to his mind or to her mind for that matter, that becomes an essential, that becomes a priority. And based on those words, based on those points, he or she can produce minimum sentence, and that saves her or saves her for that matter. Moving on to the next part. Here I am using a very old concept actually, which is no more in use. No more in use in general grammar. But this particular thing is in machine learning. it has been used in artificial intelligence. There's a periodic structure of sentence. What exactly is this periodic structure of sentence? Here, period literally means a circuit or roundabout journey. A periodic sentence generally has a number of parts which are linked together in such a way that no particular meaning is brought out in the end. Actually, the periodic structure is now understood in terms of clauses, phrases. So if the centering is presented via clause, the student may be confused, noun, pronoun, okay, dependent, independent. Suddenly, the thinking about sentence takes a different turn. So how to understand them purely on basis of the structure? It is about how a particular meaning, I'm not just talking about the sentence or the grammatical pattern, how the meaning is to be understood at the end of a sentence. If we can have meaning partially without reaching the ending, it will become a loose structure. But if all the parts of a sentence somehow give meaning at the end, we need to read the total sentence, total structure, then we call it periodic structure. Now, periodic sentence is lengthier. It is always advised that periodic sentences better not be used in introducing oneself, in writing resume, because they are lengthier. They definitely bring certain unity. They definitely bring beauty in the language, but often they create artificiality. I'll give you an example here, okay, how we create it. So generally, this type of sentence, periodic sentence I'm talking about, periodic structure or periodic sentence is considered to secure coherence and unity of sentence. Periodic structure has lesser significance in terms of creation of meaning, in terms of presentation of meaning. If we rely much on this type of sentence, then the style becomes artificial and convoluted. Therefore, for the same reason, its application is more restricted. Application of periodic sentence is more restricted to written communication than oral. And still, periodic sentence better be used as a last resort, not at all a preference. How can we understand that a sentence is in periodic form? That is to say, how does a periodic sentence look like? How is it written? It can be written or formed in a number of ways. Number one, by using correlative conjunctions and phrases. Conjunction is that part of speech which combines, which connects different parts of sentence, or clause and sentence. Now, what are these correlative conjunctions? Like neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also, indeed, but, though, yet, lest, should. These are the correlative conjunctions. That means I cannot start a sentence with neither and end it with neither. I need to complete it with nor. But the total meaning, for the total meaning, I need to read the sentence from neither to nor, from either to or. Sentence length increases heavily. If such sentence is produced, neither he nor I am going, it is clearly understood that, okay, the both persons are not going. Neither he nor I am going. When we form this kind of sentences, the first problem comes: what type of auxiliary should be determined? Which part is going to determine auxiliary? And it brings stress on the verbal phrase. The second way of creating or writing this periodic sentence, by putting modifying expressions. Modifying expression, I am using this particular phrase for clauses particularly. The modifying expression before the main part of the sentence. How? Conditional clauses, those clauses will start with if, though, on condition that, etc. clauses of reason introduced by as, since. Subordinate clause introduced by when, while, where, this type of pronouns. So what exactly is it indicating? Complex sentence, not compound. Complex sentence, sentence with much reliance upon various clauses should not be preferred. A student try to write as much as possible in direct, in active voice, simple sentence. That works. Now let us talk about loose sentence also, as periodic sentences already talked about. We need to also show what loose sentence is. The difference between the periodic and loose sentence is nothing but difference in terms of arrangement of words. Both are quite interchangeable. I'll give one example. It's a famous line: justice delayed is justice denied. Everywhere we hear it, justice delayed is justice denied. Is it loose sentence or is it periodic sentence? It's quite confusing. Justice delayed is justice denied. It's a loose sentence because the totality of syntax is not expressed. Meaning is expressed in totality, not in syntax. The periodic form of this particular sentence will become, if justice is delayed, then justice is denied. So suddenly we are putting clause of reason, we are creating a clause of reason. In the same way, let us take another sentence. It's a loose sentence. He speaks clearly so as to be understood always. He speaks clearly so as to be understood always. So if one reads this particular sentence, the confusion arises. Understanding is the important thing or speaking is the important thing? Understanding is always very much, he speaks clearly. His voice is very clear so that one can understand him. Or he speaks clearly, he puts the meaning very clearly so that one can understand the meaning. So the double meaning is created. This kind of duplicity in meaning can be avoided in periodic structure. He speaks so clearly as to be always understood. The matter becomes clearer. He speaks so clearly. We are just transferring so. In the first sentence, he speaks clearly so. We are making he speaks so clearly. We're just transferring so from its prior place to another place. So these are also application of rule of priority. That what meaning we want to make. He speaks so clearly as to be always understood. This kind of thing must be kept in mind, and these are matter of rigorous practice, rigorous speaking practice. Then writing is a secondary matter. Rigorous speaking practice, keeping in mind the rule of priority. That means how much of the sentence should be used, how much phrase or for that matter clause dependent a student need to do. In a group discussion, the key to any group discussion is transferring from loose to periodic structure. But when a student faces a situation where immediate answer has to be given and minimum number of sentences are there, it is found that loose sentence is better. So loose and periodic sentence both are there. Periodic sentence has become a part of written communication more conveniently. Loose sentence is something which we find in the phenomenon called spoken English. Here it will be better if I also give a hint at clause and phrases. Often many students make mistake. What is clause and what is phrase? What exactly is the problem? There is no problem as far as it is understood that phrase and clause can do the same thing. The essential difference is that a clause has subject and predicate. Clause is like a sentence. Generally, independent clause can easily be written as sentence. In Hindi or in Bengali, we call it Vakyamsh, the part of sentence clause. A phrase is a group of words used as a single part of speech. Now, here is another thing. Phrase is always a single part of speech. Clause is like a single part of speech and it must have a subject and predicate. That means if a student is taught clause, he or she will benefit in this way that he will know how to convert it into sentence. What part of a sentence can be clause, what part of a sentence can be phrase. Every sentence, even in a simple sentence, we can find phrase. But in a simple sentence, we cannot find clause. Clause is particularly a matter of complex sentence. It may be in compound, but technically it is in the complex sentence. How? I give in a different way. We always know that verb is there, main verb and auxiliary. Have we ever thought that auxiliary plus main verb is a verb clause? Auxiliary plus main verb with the necessary suffix, whether it is ing, whatever. That is a verbal clause, verbal phrase. It is not verbal clause. So, if a subject is added, technically, if we look at it, if a subject is added to a phrase, it is transferred to clause. A clause minus subject, it can become a phrase because predicate itself will always have certain phrase. Therefore, the predicate structure, which is a part of semantics as well as morphology, the predicate structure deals heavily with how many words and how many parts of speech can be called adequate predicate, which we generally call object. Student, at this particular point, it is good to say that in a sentence, students often get confused in noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, etc. vis-a-vis subject, verb, and object, or subject, verb, object, complementary, etc. Then subject and predicate. It is a kind of understanding that subject, verb, and object, apart from verb, subject and object are the places, are the positions. Just as language is a system, and within this system, certain things hold ground. Only in a sentence, a word becomes a subject, a word becomes an object. No word essentially is subject, verb, or object for that matter, unless they are not used in a sentence. For instance, if I'm to create a sentence, I am going. I exists independently as a pronoun. Am exists independently as an auxiliary. Go exists independently as infinite verb, to go. Ing, well, its existence is dependent. Only when I am putting them in a sentence, and that also in correct order, I cannot write going am I or going I am. I cannot write unless I am writing a poem. Such kind of liberty is there only in poem, but not in day-to-day communication or proper communication. So, at the very initial stage, a student must be made clear of one thing, that in a sentence, all the places, subject, verb, and object, these are positions. These parts of speech or parts of sentence involve various words. I have found, since my college is also of rural background, most of my students are from Hindi medium background. They often find it very confusing. How is it that a sentence, there is subject and predicate, and there is noun, there is subject and verb? How come same word is called subject, same word is called noun? We're not able to understand. So at the very beginning, let them be very clear that subject, verb, and object are not exactly parts of speech. They're the places in the speech. Only after that, one may go for further parts of speech like noun, pronoun, etc. Because in most of the grammar books now, they start the book with parts of speech or the words, and that is a blunder I feel, because the moment one reads a part of speech, one may not understand what that speech is because they read sentence. I have been asked many times by the students, sir, if this is speech, then what is the sentence? May not be necessary, because speech is incomplete sentence we may say, because these words are in clause, these words are in phrase, these words are in spoken communication, which is not complete. In common parlance, speech becomes sentence in writing. So if a student understands that a clause and phrase, with phrase if we put subject, then it has a potential to becoming clause, then much of the problem is. And this is very important in presenting oneself. When someone talks about oneself in the interview, or this aspect, please say something about yourself. I found that students always become very much confused that my name is this, my name is that. Never talks about I am. So to talk in a direct mode, one must be cautious. Now, the final thing that I have chosen, and this is purely based on my experience. Some part of it I have said. So if a question is asked, what part of speech needs utmost attention? This is very relative question. This is very personal question also, because every student has his or her own understanding of language, own mother tongue influence, own translational ability. But in general, the answer somewhat centers on verb, because everyone has got a problem of verb, and through it, I will actually suggest to the students certain techniques how to find the words. Now, very reason behind it means verb becoming the most needed part of speech. The very reason behind it is that a sentence can be framed with a single verb. Verb has that potentiality that only one verb can create a sentence. We cannot create a sentence with noun, pronoun, adverb, adjective, etc. And the sentence which is created out of one verb, that is instructive sentence, a command sentence. The students who hail from more vernacular ambience, vernacular background, often find it very difficult to understand how they should enrich their vocabulary and syntax. So from now onwards, what I am going to say is a rethinking on part of both students as well as teachers, rethinking about the grammar, how to take that grammar. When they embark on their grammatical journey, students, much time is spent on parts of speech, types of sentences, voice, narration, and definitely not to forget tense. Now, I have come across this problem and have tried to ease the way for the students. And I have focused hard in the sentence. Why? The principal reasons are that the physical placement, since it is a session on sentence has a physical structure which we can hear as well as we can see. The physical placement of that verb, where we are putting that verb in a given sentence or in a clause, points out the very type of that sentence. Where the verb is placed in a sentence, that definitely gives us an idea what type of sentence that is. Focus is the main part. Just now I talked about instructive sentence. Where is it placed? On the single verb? Technically, it is placed just after the which stood you, something that is not said in, it is at the main verb place. But looking at the main verb, we can also understand the sentence type. Students often get confused what type of sentence is it when they read so many sentences. How to understand? Understanding a sentence by punctuation mark is quite simple, but that helps in exclamatory, inquisitive. But sentences which are there's a full stop or there is semicolon, students often get confused regarding the nature of that very expression of the very sentence. So we can understand sentence through verb. Second reason, the auxiliary verb in a given sentence, at once reveals 3 or sometimes 4 aspects of the sentence. So what can you understand from an auxiliary verb? Number 1, the number of subject or noun clause for which we find that subject verb agreement, that thing. So from auxiliary we are understanding this. The number of subject or the noun clause. The voice, auxiliary also shows that the voice, the active or passive. Auxiliary also shows the modality of that sentence. And it also shows the tense type and its agreement with the subject. Normally we have heard of subject verb agreement. But the more we proceed, there is a latent agreement, tense type and subject. Third reason, the facility of using verb in past participle form as an adjective. If we learn one verb, we are creating one adjective in past participle form. Also, the facility of using verb in present participle, that is verb plus ing, which is also called gerund, as an adjective as well as a verbal noun. So when we learn the verb, a student can get at least an adjective, can also get a noun. And if a student gets adjective, getting adverb is not a problem. So these are some of the areas verb we can get. Now where to find necessary vocabulary? This is perhaps the most troublesome question since English has been in India. There has been numerous books starting with Michael West's General Service List, which gave us 10,000, very big, huge number, 10,000 general words. How many words do we need to take? Technically, Summer Institute in America, it's in Washington DC. In 1992, one observation was there, one report was there, Summer Institute. It came up with the kind of hypothesis that 2,500 words we need. And out of those 2,500, 2,000 are merely related to verb. Often for obtaining the words, students look into grammar book, they look into word power made easy. And here I would like to reiterate the necessity for textbook. It can be a very good exercise for the students, and this will help them in writing their projects, preparing assignments with far more accuracy. From their own engineering textbooks, whatever be their class, they can find out what type of voice is used in the definition. They can find out in what mood or in the modal has been used, what type of conjunctions have been used, because even there is nothing exclusively as scientific writing and non-scientific literary writing. The only difference here is the very nature of that language, whether it is clearly expressing the meaning or it is not clearly expressing the meaning. And definitely the register variety, same word can mean very different in various branches. That difference students need to understand. I saw that, and what the principal has said, it is also a good thing that the books, or his meaning is like that, the books themselves do carry those words at the very beginning. They need to be the technical words. Definitely in an interview, if one does not have the domain knowledge, necessary words of that what you call core competence, also the core topic, it is not possible to create a sentence in the air. So on the part of the students at this level, particularly those who are finishing their course or who have finished, are going to face interviews. they need to again relook at their textbooks. They need to find out, particularly depending on what kind of job they have applied for, what type of interview they are going to face. They need to find out at least 1,000 basic major technical words. Only then their knowledge of grammar is going to be fruitful. This is just as that we, the students of English literature, if we do not know exactly the historical detail of the data, on the basis of word power, we cannot write answers of history of English literature. If we do not know the technical terms associated with scansion and rhetoric or prosody, it is not possible for us to use anything. Words are not used here. So it is a suggestion to them that rather than looking at word power, medicine, this, that, it is good, okay, you can use them, no problem. But your core words always come from your subject. And only then you use the grammar. Because for you, for these engineering students, grammar is secondary. A formula does not need essentially a grammatical concern. It is only in presenting oneself the grammatical understanding is necessary. So they are advised to use both proximity and priority in selecting their words. That also has neural implication, a bit of neurolinguistics, that how can one remember many words. This is a very common problem when someone learns English as second language. How to remember the words. It is not possible for any student to keep reading the words only throughout the day. To look at the structure of the word, to break English language and English words have a very particular benefit. Its prefix and suffix are easy to be broken. We can separate them. And then if we give them the word, they can understand it. It so happened, I'm giving one example, national anthem. Last year, one student asked, what is the English of Rashtragan? Okay, national anthem. It is very difficult for the student to understand national. Cannot write it, cannot spell it properly, cannot utter it. So we need to break it. The students need to be taught that first you break those suffixes and prefixes. Even if in a word there is no suffix and no prefix, but certain part resembles them, for instance, read, R-E-A-D, read. There is no suffix, there is no prefix, but R-E is like a prefix, reusable, rethink. So RE plus AD. This kind of formula, it is hectic for students definitely, because everyone has a certain set of understanding. Certain words are already pre-installed in their neural network. So one advice for the students that please work on your grammatical or verbal ability at least half an hour to 1 hour. This will definitely increase. Look into your textbook for the words related to your own subject of study, your domain. Then you try to frame essential sentences. What exactly happens if one just reads the words from various books? One may not see the performance of those words, how they are used. And unless a word is used, it is not possible to understand the various aspects of that word. How one word can be used in a multiple way. That is the very reason I have taken up verb. Because if one learns verb, there is a possibility that without much faltering, adjective also can be understood. And for understanding that adjective, past participle tense need to be understood. And if one understands past participle, automatically the person understands passive voice. And if passive voice is understood, then when one reads main textbook, half of it is, or nearly half of it is written in passive voice. Whenever a definition comes like it is like that, it is considered, it is thought. Now, what kind of voice is it? It's a passive voice. One may not be aware of this fact that it is written in passive voice. The moment one understands that it is in passive voice via verb, it becomes a lot more easier for the student to correlate other parts of speech. So, with these words, these are my suggestions. I'm very much interested to take up the queries, if any, and we'll try to do justice to them with my best ability. Thank you very much. And I thank the organization for giving me this opportunity. It has been quite interesting session for me, because particularly this verbal thing that I am having here, this thing has not been taught to me by my teacher. This thing I have framed out of myself, and I am trying to figure out grammar in a different way. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Devakriti. That's great. We all enjoyed very much. I hope that everyone has gained something from your speech. This was very informative and valuable for us as teachers as well. So now I would welcome the queries of the students. If someone has something to ask from our expert. Yes, Vishwajit. Can you allow?
If anyone is having query, they can raise their hand. I will unmute one by one, and then
two
they can ask.
Two people have raised, I think. Amit Billa, GP Sitamarhi, and Dr. Lalji Prasad.
Amit Billa, I'm unmuting you, so you can go ahead with your question. Amit Billa. No, I think he is not available. Next, Dr. Lalji Prasad Yadav. Dr. Lalji Prasad Yadav, you can unmute yourself. The request has been sent.
I think he's not present, or we are not audible to him. Any other student? Yes, if you want to ask anything, you can raise your hands. We can unmute you. Yes, anyone? Whatever you spoke was very comprehensible for everyone. It seems that nobody is ready to ask anything.
And even if suppose really, if they have something, they can you can always email me, and I will definitely send them.
I'll share your email to them. Yes. Since nobody is willing to ask anything, I think it's the end of the session.
The principal sir is there. We will transfer.
Yes. Is there? Sir is there. Hello. Sir. Principal sir.
By the time we can transfer the session to Anuradha ma'am. Anuradha ma'am, if you are available.
Is she here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thanks.
A few words.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Ranjita Tiwari. And I take this opportunity on behalf of NGP Patna 13 to thank our principal sir first for organizing, making us organize such webinars, which are very fruitful for our students as well as for our faculty. And I'd like to thank our resource person first, Devakriti Pal sir, for joining us and giving us such an enriching session on English. That has been my love. As you know, Dr. Ranjita Tiwari.
Yes, I know.
If I would have not studied electrical engineering, I would have taken English as my subject. It has been my love for all my life, and it will be. And it's a very good tool for communicating our feelings, our whatever we have done in life. It is a very good tool. and the students should also students joined us and they learned from this, and for further also they'll keep on learning and use this tool as a transferring tool for all providing their technical things also to the faculty and the students. And thanks once again for our the technical staff of NGP Patna 13, without whose help this would not have been possible. My internet connection, I think it's very slow. And am I audible to all?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thanks once again to everybody, the students, the faculty members, those who joined this webinar and listened to our resource person as well as patiently. So thanks again, once again, Debakriti Pal sir, for joining us. And as our principal sir has joined some other meeting, he had messaged. So Dr. Ranjita Tiwari.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We can conclude this session. You
Yes,
take
ma'am.
over and conclude the session.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. She is the senior most lecturer of our institute. As she said that she loves English a lot.
Sure.
Okay, so now we have come to the end of this session. Thank you. I extend my heartiest.
There is one announcement. Sorry,
Yes.
Ranjita ma'am.
Okay, okay.
All the sessions will be available on our social networking sites and websites, and all the WhatsApp group. We will send the link of recording, which is available on YouTube and other platforms. So anyone, any viewers or any listener, any student can go to the link and listen this. If they have any query, the detail of sales will be available. And the ma'am will share the details. They can ask via mail.
Yes, I'll share the email of Debakriti. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, Debakriti.
Welcome.
I'll call you
welcome,
in a
and thank
while.
you too. Sure, sure, sure. Thank you.
Thank
It has been a wonderful session. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.